Hey, welcome in, peeps. Dave Solentano here with our Wednesday night Guitar Trick sponsored class. Tonight we're working on week 3 of 3 for the two-hand tapping. And next week's going to be the last week of these Wednesday night sessions. Guitar Tricks is sponsoring them, and they've wanted to take a break from it for a little while. So I will be doing that. But I'll still be teaching private lessons, one-on-ones through Guitar Tricks and through my own website, davesolentano.com. And yeah, I'll still be around, just doing a lot of other teaching and a lot of other things with Guitar Tricks too. Hello, Steve. What's up from New Hampshire? Good to see you here. Now, also too, folks, and Craig's here. All right. Hello, hello. I posted at the top of the chat column where everyone's posting their comments 2 Guitar Tricks links to some pretty intense two-hand tapping courses that are on Guitar Tricks. One of them I did, and one of them another guitar instructor did. And I also put a YouTube link to one of my YouTube channel videos. It's not a lesson, but it's just a performance of me playing Toccata and Fugue from Bach with all two-hand tapping, no picking on anything. And I just, one day, and I threw the camera up in front of me, put my guitar on, warmed up with it a few times, and just, hit play. If you watch it, there's no edits. It's just all the way through one take. It's not the best of quality in terms of the look of it and everything, but I just, wanted to, I worked hard on doing the two-handed version of that. So I just wanted to throw something up on YouTube real quick. But check that out too. And you're more than welcome to like my YouTube channel as well. Okay, so there you go. Richard's here. What's up? And Jerry, all right, from Ireland. Cool, cool. Good deal, man. All right, so today we're going to be working on multiple fingers tapping. And last week we did 2 fingers, index and middle. Today we're going to be trying all 4 digits. So we'll be kind of doing sort of like piano type ideas, but not necessarily, it's not really piano ideas, but just playing with all 8 fingers, 4 on the right hand, 4 on the left hand. Okay, so just to redeem myself, last week I kind of didn't do the tapping parts of Toccata and Fugue too well. But I'm going to tell you this, folks, that if you practice something really good and hard for a while and you don't play it again for quite a while, when you come back to it, sure, you're rusty. But if you worked on it and got it down really good originally, then whenever you come back to it, you take a break from it for a year or 2, come back to it. Sure, we'll be rusty. You'll be rusty. I'll be rusty. But after you practice it for just a little bit, it all comes back. Okay. So that's my point I wanted to get across with the Toccata and Fugue. I haven't done that, the tapping arpeggio part, in quite a while. And when I did it last week, I hadn't really practiced it in a while. But I kind of messed up, as some of you might have noticed too. All right. And Manny Vibes is here. Cool, cool. So let me run through that for you real quick. So what I like about some of these classical pieces that I've arranged for electric guitar is that there's good picking things in those. Some of them are hybrid picking. Some are sweep picking. Some work out good for tapping. A lot of arpeggio work, a lot of pedal point work, a lot of legato playing too. So there's a lot of cool elements, techniques that we guitar players use and need to use if you're not experienced with them. And the classical pieces are great melodic ways of practicing those. Instead of just some little exercise that doesn't really sound like anything other than an exercise, they're actually pieces of music. So I really enjoy doing those kind of exercises when it sounds like a little piece of music. Okay. Unlike some of the things I'm going to show you today are exercises to develop your tapping technique. But what I'm going to show you also today is ways of applying that. But let me just warm up with that Toccata and Fugue. Okay, we got this. I'm going to stop there, but that's the idea. So when I work through those tapping parts right there, that was little triad arpeggios that Bach uses, descending. We're in the key of D minor. He just descends all the chords that are diatonic in D minor. There's one, there's another. Each one of those is a little triad. Okay, that's a cool little thing you can work on. If you book a one-on-one lesson with me, I can help you with that kind of stuff. I've got all those already transcribed and ready to go. The other thing that was kind of neat in Toccata and Fugue is this pedal point idea, where you kind of got to use multiple fingers like this. And a pedal point idea is where you're going to hold one note stationary in the bass or up top, okay? But in this case, it's in the bass, and then the melody's going to move on top of it, pinging back to the pedal point note between every one of them, like this. In fact, you could do this part of the tune just with one finger if you want. Then jump to the third string. Then the fifth string. But I thought that was also a good thing to do with all your fingers, to work on an exercise, right? An exercise, but it's a piece of music like this. So I'm using my index, finger 1 on the right hand, finger 2 the middle, finger 3 the ring finger, then the pinky. One more time. One more. Okay, and then there's another part to Toccata and Fugue, the fugue section, which has a pedal point idea where the high note is the pedal point, 14 on the third string, and then we pull off the notes on the left hand, same string below it. Then we jump to the second string, do the exact same thing, a fourth higher. Put it all together. And then again up here. You get the idea? So some really cool things you can do with this classical stuff. And I've got a lot of these already transcribed, ready to go. I share with my students. Manny Vibes, thank you, man. Appreciate it. You rock too, Manny Vibes. Okay, so let's talk about some ways of developing a stronger tapping finger technique. So it's not in the curriculum, although if you open up the text box that's underneath the YouTube video, there's an area, something that says to the effect of print or grab curriculum here. It's a blue URL link. Click that, open that up. There'll be 2 pages called Two Hand Tapping Week 3 of 3. Okay. What I'm going to show you now, though, is something that's not in the packets, but you almost don't need to have it written down because it's kind of simple. I'm going to show you a good exercise to get stronger with all your fingers on your tapping hand. Now, when we're doing tapping, it's a good idea to have a short fingernail on your tap finger, whatever, even if you're just going to do like Van Halen taps with one finger, because if the fingernail's sticking out, it kind of gets in the way. And to me, it doesn't help the matter. It just kind of gets in the way, and it kind of bugs me. All right. Hey, King 50 checking in from Northern Nevada. What's up, Bill? Okay, cool. We're rocking out on some two-hand tapping today. I know a lot of folks aren't necessarily into the two-hand tapping, but I am, and I love a lot of different styles of music and different techniques. So I'm sharing that with everybody tonight. And this says week 3 of 3, and next week is going to be our last lesson on the Wednesday night YouTube classes. And I have one more, a bonus tapping lesson that I'm going to share with everyone next week. Okay, so that's going to be like an extra thing we'll go over next week. Okay, but today let's work on this. I call this, the technique is trilling, and you know what a trill is? It's when you hammer on and pull off rapidly between two notes. All right, you might have been doing that with maybe your first and second fingers. First and third. First and fourth. Okay, those are good techniques, exercises to work on your hammer-on pull-off technique using trills. Okay, that's where you hammer on, pull off, and repeat infinitely. Okay, they're a nice little effect, and we hear all kinds of guitarists use them at different times. Now let's apply that to this tapping as just an exercise. So what I want you to do is hold the 3rd string at the 5th fret, and then we're going to tap the 8th fret, 3rd string with the index finger, and we're going to just do a trill between the left and right hand. Okay, now this is basic tapping 101 here, folks. Usually you don't want to go at it like this. Okay, because we don't have a reference, all right? It's kind of like playing guitar without anchoring your hand on the guitar. You don't know where the strings are. Usually when players play, unless they're strumming, unless you're playing cowboy chords and strumming some songs, you probably don't want to anchor your hand. You want to pivot off the elbow, right? And just let your wrist be loose. But when we're picking single notes, right? Things like that, it's a good idea to anchor your hand on the guitar because you feel where the strings are and you're more accurate, all right? All the, shreddy stuff. See, my right hand is on the guitar. Okay, so same thing with tapping. When you watch Van Halen, Eddie tap, he would grab the sides of the neck a lot of times with his hand. Like he would often hold the pick between his middle and thumb, and he would tap like this. But he would still he would anchor the fingers on the bottom edge of the neck as a reference. I'm not really good at playing like him with the middle finger. Okay, but I suggest to grab the edge of the neck with the thumb, if you can, or the fingers remaining with, if you can do that, right? Well, on this exercise, though, since we're not going to be using a pick, I would just kind of support your right hand with both at the edges of the neck, at the binding, with your thumb and fingers. So as you're tapping, you get a more accurate tap, a more firm tap. And then when we pull off, you can tap and flick off downwards. Or you can tap and pull off upwards. Usually when I'm doing multiple fingers, I tend to push off downwards. But when I'm doing just one finger, sometimes I could pull up too, like when I'm doing the eruption things. Okay, so I'm flicking it upwards there. Experiment with both, people, and see what works good for you. There's not one way that's going to work for everything you do if you're going to be tapping, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind, and it's good to be able to do both, all right? Appreciate it, John. I love Gibson line guitars. I got a 335 in a closet, and then one of those Gibson cases off camera, I got a gold top Les Paul that I use for slide guitar, where the string action is a lot higher, and I use really heavy strings like 12 to 52 or 56 for the slide guitar stuff. And I tune to an open E chord for that. But anyway, that might be a lesson for a different day. Let's go ahead and get the this trilling effect going here, folks. So whether you want to pull off upwards or pull off downwards, okay, what I want you to do is do 4 of those with your index finger. Okay. Now I'm going to have you do your middle finger now. Try the same thing with your middle. So we're probably not going to be able to grip the sides of the neck with both the thumb and the fingers. So I'm going to say just keep your thumb there for reference, and then we're going to go try your middle finger. Try tapping with that 4 times. Then go to your ring finger. Same thing, 8th fret, 3rd string. That might feel kind of weird if you haven't done your 3rd finger tapping before. Okay, and then here's the doozy. Try your pinky doing the same thing. And think about your fingers. Remember those old-fashioned typewriters back in the day? Before we had the computers, right? Where they had, every time you hit a letter, a little arm would flick up and then pound the letter onto your paper. Or if you think about the little mallets in a piano, when you hit a key on the piano, if you open up the lid of the piano, you see a little felt hammer comes up and strikes that string to make it ring. So think of your fingers as little hammers or mallets when you're coming down on it, okay, like this. So I went through all 4 fingers 4 times on each one. Now try it backwards. Do the 4th finger to 3rd to 2nd to 1st, 4 in each. And when I'm tapping, a lot of times what I do to keep the other strings silent, as many as possible, is I let the tip of the 1st finger touch the string that's above that we're not playing. So that mutes the D string. So see, it's muted by that tip of the 1st finger. And then the underside of the 1st finger, the fingerprint part, is touching the 2nd string, not fretting it like that, but just leaning on it. So it's like a little pillow. My fingertip is like a little pillow that sits on the string. See how it's like that? But I'm not flat on the other strings. I'm only pressing on the 3rd, and then the tip of it touches the 4th. The fingerprint part touches the 2nd. Okay, it's these little micro moves, people, are what you need to think about if you want to be a better player. You want to move efficiently. You don't want your fingers flying all over the place. All right. Even though my little mantra or slogan is flying fingers, but that's like for shredding, when someone's playing real fast, they're moving quickly. But usually the faster players, if you watch their fingers when they're playing fast, their fingers aren't flying all over the place like this. They're just it looks like they're hardly doing anything. It's like they're all really close to the fretboard. See, all my fingers are, for the most part, kind of really close to it. They're not out like this. They're not kind of bouncing everywhere. So try to think efficiently when you're doing this, muting the other strings. And then when you're doing your tap and pull off, try to be gentle when you flick it downwards or upwards. You don't get heavy handed and go and then push into the other strings. You got to be accurate. All right, Manny Vibes has a comment. How long do you recommend doing that for it to become muscle memory? Well, it depends, Manny, but if you're just starting out, just use this as an exercise. And try to keep it even where you can't hear when you switch fingers. You don't want to go. You want to be able to switch without stopping. And I would also say, folks, if you want to get better at this and use this in your playing to develop the technique, do it slowly with no pauses. Make sure you're accurate. Okay, now take this a little step further, right? Do it on all 6 strings. Okay, so for instance, try it on the 6th string. That's pretty hard with the pinky because your thumb, my thumb, see where my thumb is on my right hand? It's right there. So it's kind of really tight. But it's accurate. My pinky's like a little mallet that comes down. Okay, gotta make sure we don't flick the toggle switch there. So we got this going. Back to the 3rd finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger. Try the 5th string. 4th string. 3rd. 2nd. One more time. And 1st string. Okay. Anything to get you using those fingers, develop calluses on them, because you will. The fingertips will be sore. Remember how when you first started playing guitar, your fingers were sore here? Okay. If they don't get sore, that means you're not doing it enough. All right. Or you might not be doing it correctly. Okay. So, anyone that's been playing guitar a while knows that you get calluses after a while and the pain goes away, but you get that thick skin there. So whenever I do tapping, the calluses kind of come back pretty quickly on the fingers. But anyway, that's that. So now let's try example number 1 in the packet. Okay. So example 1, remember this chromatic finger? We call it the spider exercise in Guitar Tricks. We usually start on the 1st fret and do this. Let me shut off the delay here for a sec. Okay, so we'll just go for a drier sound. Okay, remember that tap, the finger spider exercise was just the 1, 2, 3, 4 and all 6 strings. Okay, we're going to do that starting at the 5th fret. Now your left hand's going to play 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the right hand's going to do the same thing, 7 frets higher at the 12th fret. But what we're going to do, instead of doing this, which would be a good exercise too, but we're going to actually, to develop this hammer-on, this mallet technique, we're going to tap the 12th fret, pull off to the 5th fret. Okay, that's the first 2 notes in example 1. Then we're going to tap 13th fret with your middle finger, pull off to the 6th fret on the left hand middle finger. Then tap 14th fret, 6th string with your ring finger. 3rd finger, pull off to the 3rd finger on your left hand. And then we're going to tap the 15th fret on the 6th string with the pinky, pull off to the pinky on the left hand. So it's going to go tap, pull off, tap, pull off. And it's essentially, folks, it's a mirror image. Whatever the geometric shape that this hand does, the left hand does the same 7 frets higher. Okay, that's the first bar of example 1. The next bar is the same thing on string 5. String 4. Okay. Sounds kind of interesting. It sounds sort of like computer music, sort of. Oopsie, one more time. Okay, do it slow with a metronome. Click, 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 click. In fact, when I was first developing this technique, back when I was going to music school in 1985 to 86 at Musicians Institute down in Hollywood, California. Now it's called Musicians Institute, or MI, but back then it was called Guitar Institute of Technology. When it was a smaller school, they only had guitar, they had bass, and then I think they had percussion. But now they've added vocals and a few other things, and they changed the name to Musicians Institute. But back when I was doing it, Jennifer Batten was one of the instructors there at the time. I took a few one-on-ones with her and bought some of her publications, her tutorials. She had a book out, and I bought that, learned some ideas. Steve Lynch from Autograph, he also was a student of MI or GIT back then. He didn't teach there. He did a clinic there, but I bought his tapping book. I think it was called The Right Touch. Okay. And he gave me a lot of good ideas out of that book. But what I found developing my tapping is that to do it slow and really work at getting those fingers to feel like little mallets, that really helped strengthen my fingers and get them more coordinated. So rather than trying to rip through it real fast and sloppy, try to go slow and accurate and clean. Just do it. Try to do it with a metronome. Okay, then example 2 is the same thing in reverse. So we're going to start with the tap at the 15th fret first string with your pinky, 4th finger. Then we're going to pull off to the left hand 4th finger in the 8th fret. Then the 14th fret, pull off to the 7th fret with your 3rd fingers. Then the 13th fret, pull off to 6th fret with the middle fingers. Then the index, 12th fret to 5th fret with both index fingers. So it goes. And then 2nd string, same thing. 3rd, 4th. Okay, there you go. So all together. Backwards. Okay, now it starts to sound kind of interesting as if you start taking some other exercises, like wacky ones, like what I think this Steve Vai exercise or Joe Satriani, where it goes something like that, where it's a diagonal shape that starts out. Okay, do that with the tapping. Sounds like computer music, huh? I. Okay, so it's just the mirror image. Whatever the left hand's doing, the right hand taps the same shape. I like to do 7 frets higher. Another good position is 4 frets higher. That's interval of a fourth and a fifth. Okay, interval of a fourth would be 10 frets higher than where your left hand is. Interval of a perfect fifth is where you're 7 frets up with the tap fingers. Okay, gets some interesting sounds. If you start doing other intervals like a flat 5 interval, that's 6 frets. It doesn't sound as good melodically. So the fifths and fourths tend to sound a little more in key. Okay. Now let's go a little bit deeper here and try to apply it to the next one. Example 3, folks, is a pentatonic scale idea. Now I'm going to kind of maybe blow your mind a little bit here, but think about this for a sec as a setup for example 3. Everyone knows, hopefully, your minor pentatonic in the 5th position. The A pentatonic, right? Okay. Now, if we play that same shape 5 frets higher, or even 7 frets higher, or 5 frets higher, we're actually in the same diatonic key. And I'm sure a lot of you are going, huh? All right, so just bear with me here. So if we played A minor pentatonic at the 5th fret, and then you played E minor pentatonic, the exact same pattern 1, at the 12th fret, okay, you're in the key of A natural minor, okay? Listen to this. Now, how is that? Okay, if you know your natural minor scale patterns, and it helps to have like a neck diagram with the patterns laid out so you can actually see what I'm talking about. I've got charts for all that when I do my one-on-one lessons with students. So if you book a lesson with me, I can share a lot of this information with you. I've got it ready to go on curriculum. If you're not ready to do that, but you're a Guitar Tricks member, go in their toolbox. On the home page, on the left side column, there's a bunch of tabs. One of them says Toolbox. Open that up, and then you go into this Toolbox area. It has a bunch of tiles. One of them says Scale Finder. So you go into your Scale Finder, type in A minor, or the key of A, and then select the natural minor scale. And it'll populate all 5 patterns for the A natural minor. And what I'm getting at is because if you know your pattern, what I call pattern 1, I think Guitar Tricks might call this pattern 2 for the A natural minor, but it's the 5th fret where it's playing this pattern. So the frets are 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7. Then the 4th string is, the 3rd string is 4, 5, 7. 2nd string is 5, 6, 8. 1st string is 5, 7, 8. Okay, if you know your patterns, and another way to think about this, folks, is your cage patterns. And again, if you're not familiar with the cage patterns, hit up Guitar Tricks. We got a ton of lessons on the cage patterns too. Okay. So if you go up, what I just did here in cage terminology would be the G form. Okay. If we go up to the C form cage pattern in the key of A minor, or the relative minor to A minor is C major, we end up with the same patterns. The one at the 12th fret looks like this. Okay, Okay, the frets are 12, 13, 15, 12, 14, 15 on the fifth string. Again, 12, 14, 15. Third string is 12, 14. Second string is 12, 13, 15. First string is also 12, 13, 15. Okay, now try to comprehend those two patterns. Notice that the first pattern I played you of the A natural minor scale, the A minor pentatonic notes sit right within that. You just add a couple extra notes and it makes it A natural minor. Okay? We add the 7th fret on the 6th string. We add the 8th fret on the 5th string. The 4th string doesn't change. The 3rd string, we add the 4th fret, 3rd string. 2nd string, we add the 6th fret to the pattern. And in the 1st string, we add the 7th fret on the 1st string to the pattern, to the minor pentatonic pattern. Okay? Now watch this. If you're up in the 12th position playing what I call pattern 4 of the A natural minor scale, the frets, like I called out, were 12, 13, 15, 12, 14, 15 on the 5th and 4th string, 12, 14 on the 3rd, and then 12, 13, 15 on the 2nd and 1st string. Okay, if you got that under your fingers, up. Okay, notice that the E minor pentatonic scale notes are right in there. Okay, so it's kind of an interesting way to think about it, but we're actually playing an E minor pentatonic scale over an A minor pentatonic scale when we're doing their tapping thing. That's what example 3 is doing here, folks. I'm tapping E minor pentatonic with my right hand, pulling off to the A minor pentatonic shape with my left. That way, the geometric shapes, the patterns I'm doing with both hands are identical. Okay. Of course, you could tap out the A minor pentatonic scale that's up at the 12th fret. That would sound fine too. But we're trying, by playing the E minor scale pentatonic up here at the 12th fret, we're adding in a couple extra notes that are not in the normal minor pentatonic scale. We're adding in a B note, that 12 on the 2nd string. That ends up being the equal to that 4th fret 3rd string and 7th fret 1st string and 7th fret 6th string that we added when we played the A minor pentatonic. Okay, and then we'll turn it into the A natural minor. So what you got for example 3 is just running up the pentatonic scale with a mirror image at the 12th fret. Okay, and then actually I pull off to the A to end it. And if you look at the top of page 2, it looks like the same thing but descending. Okay, so let's think about that for a sec, and I'm going to lay something else on you in a sec. Manny's Vibes is asking, how much are the one-on-one lessons? Manny, I charge $45 for a half hour, $70 for an hour. That's kind of the going rate for a lot of players. And honestly, I think that's kind of cheap compared to what some players, instructors charge. But I've got a ton of experience. I got 4 albums out. I've written a ton of educational books published by many different publishers. If you search my name on the internet or in Amazon, a bunch of books and DVDs I've written in the past will pop up. My albums will show up there. I've been teaching a long time. I've been teaching almost 40 years, right? I got a lot of online courses. I've been doing a ton of work with Guitar Tricks. Not to mention, I'm easygoing in the lessons. I care about my students, everybody. And Manny, I keep track of what I do with my students in my day planner because I got about 50 students-ish. All right. Not every week. Some of them come every week. A lot of them come every week. A lot of them come every other week. Some come once a month. Some come once every other month. But regardless, I keep track of what I'm doing with everybody in my day planner. So once you're a student of mine, I give you homework and then I help you on your journey. And then at your next lesson, whether it's next week or a month or two down the road, I'm going to expect you to show me what you worked on, what the homework was. All right. Otherwise, if you're not doing that, we're really not getting better on guitar. And, you know, I'm assuming if one takes guitar lessons from me or another instructor, it's because you want to get good. So it would behoove you to do the homework curriculum that me or another instructor would give you. So I keep track of that. You know I hear it's from a lot of students, and when I've been my years teaching in music stores, I'll hear some of the other instructors in the rooms next to me. A lot of them don't keep track and don't care what they do with their students. It's, for instance, a student will come into their lesson one week and the teacher just asks them, you know, what do you want to work on today? They work on a Black Sabbath song. Then the week or two later, the student comes back for another lesson. The teacher doesn't even remember what song they worked on. And he says, so what do you feel like working on? What you've been working on? You know, it's like they don't care about the student that much. And they don't even remember what they taught them at the last lesson. So, you know, I'm organized and I help the students go along a path. If you just want to work on songs, we can do that. Guitar Tricks has a ton of songs. I have a ton of songs also in my own library. But if you want to work on theory and techniques, I can do that too. We got a ton of that stuff on Guitar Tricks. So anyway, Manny, that's my preaching for the lessons. Craig says the lessons are well worth it. Oh, Craig, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Craig. Craig is one of my students. In fact, some of the other folks here tonight and throughout the time I've been doing our Wednesday night YouTube classes, I see a lot of my students will pop in from time to time. But there you go, Manny. It's a good investment. Even, you know, some students say it's a little expensive for them. That's fine. Just get in and just do one a month or one every other month. If that's all you can afford, that's fine. I can do that. But obviously you're going to need to work on what we work, you know, I give you to work on and practice what I say, you know, work with the metronome. It's the evil, you know, the evil necessity that a lot of students don't like to do, but it exposes the fact that a lot of us can't really play in time too well. So the metronome is going to help you. It's your friend. Playing with backing tracks, we got to be in time. If we can't play with the metronome in time, when we play over a blues backing track, it's not going to magically sound in time. All right. We got to feel the groove of the song, the beat the drummer's doing. And we got to play in that pocket. Okay. Real important. Jimmy G saying, got here late, but I'll catch up later. Cool. Thanks for the last info. Jimmy G. Yep. Appreciate you coming, man. Richard saying, all drummers will thank you. Yeah, Richard. Well, man, that's what the drummers are for. I was doing a gig with my former band a couple weeks back before my last gig with them. I actually joined another band here in my area, my town. But during one of my solos, we were doing a Santana tune, Evil Ways, and I was doing my solo at the end of the song, and someone in the band completely got off track, and it sounded, I couldn't tell where they were at in the song and playing the rhythm parts. So I had to turn around, look at the drummer, and just lock in what the drummer's doing. Don't even worry about what those other musician was playing. Because it just really, if you can't lock in with the drummer, hopefully your drummer is, you know, drummers, that's their job, is to keep the beat. So got to lock in with that drummer. He's your friend. You know, that can save the whole thing if you lock in with the drummer. Okay. So it's not just playing the right notes, people. It's playing them in time. That's real important there. Okay. So back to the ranch here. We got the pentatonic scale, right? Now let me show you this too, folks. It's not in the packet, but if we take that A minor pentatonic scale I just did with the left hand, and instead of tapping the 12th fret E minor pentatonic, check this out. Tap the D minor pentatonic in the 10th fret. Those notes are also in a natural minor. Okay? So whenever you're playing in a natural minor scale key, all right, there's actually 3 different minor pentatonics. And a good way to remember it, if you're familiar with the blues, is the 1, 4, 5 chords. If we're playing in A minor, like say just doing a rhythm over A minor, G, F, G, A minor. Okay, it's A natural minor is the scale, but I can play A minor pentatonic. I could also play D minor pentatonic because all those notes in D minor pentatonic are also in the A natural minor scale. And I could also play the E minor pentatonic scale because those are also in the A natural minor scale. Good way to remember it, folks, is it's whatever minor key you're in, the 1, 4, and 5 of that minor key. In this case, if we're in A minor, A would be the 1. The 4 chord is always 4 letters up or just down a string. D, and then the 5 chord or the 5, the 5 chord would be this E at the 7th fret, a perfect 5th up. Okay. Trick is though, you don't want to, when you're playing in D minor pentatonic over that A minor rhythm, we don't want to think of the D as the root note though. You still need to kind of know where the A is. Okay, you got to make it sound like it fits. So it takes some work. You know, it's as simple as that concept is, that there's always 3 minor pentatonic scales whenever you're playing in a natural minor key. Okay, same thing works if you're playing in a major scale, in a major key. There's 3 major pentatonic scales that are identical shapes, but all within, like in C major. Okay, if I played the C major scale and then played C major pentatonic, if I moved up a 4th from C to F, the notes of F major pentatonic are still in the C major scale. And then if I move up a 5th from the C, which is G, those notes are in the C major scale. Okay, but you got to be careful. When you're playing in those other pentatonic scales, you got to remember you're still in the key of C. So you need to make what you're playing sound like it fits over the C chord. So I know this is theoretically might be a little advanced, but if I'm piquing anyone's interest in this, this is something to look into, all right? And doing the tapping stuff, just kind of open that, you know, when I saw that when I was younger, realized that, it's like, wow, this is cool. So I can actually tap a mirror image and still be in the same key. All right, that's kind of a neat concept. So I could get really crazy and do an exercise like this where we go pentatonic scale in 5ths. So I go a 5th degree up, then I go to the next note and go a 5th down. Then a 5th up from the 3rd note of the scale. Okay, it's a little more advanced intervallically, but if I do that same shape with the right hand, sounds kind of crazy, huh? A lot of when jazz players like playing concepts like that, where they jump around, have bigger interval distances between their notes. And when someone's less experienced, they tend to play the notes of the scale when they're soloing. They're going. They play the notes that are right next door. They don't jump around like going. See, sounds kind of wacky and the notes are a lot further apart, right? Let me see another comment that popped up here. Manny's saying tapping the D minor pentatonic in the key of A minor. Yes, Manny. If you're in A minor, you can hold the A minor pentatonic scale here. You can tap the D minor pentatonic or the E minor pentatonic. And even if you're not tapping, folks, you can still play the D minor pentatonic scale and the E minor, but you got to remember, you're still in the key of A. All right. We're just advancing these concepts a little more. You got to make sure in those two patterns, you know where the A's are. Manny says, okay, I'm trying to take notes. Yep. Glad you're taking notes. Yeah. People, you should write stuff down. I have my students do that a lot when we start figuring things out. I have them write down sometimes things on paper because the act of writing down helps you learn. Just because you read it in a book and you got it up here doesn't mean you can play it here. So writing, when you understand something from a video or you read in a book for music, it helps to write that down and maybe try to modulate it or change it to a different key. Like try to understand it from a different perspective. All right. And play it on your guitar. You know, I have students that say they know the Phrygian mode. Oh, it's 1 flat 2 flat 3 4 5 flat 6 flat 7. But then when I ask them to play it, they can hardly even play it, let alone all they do is just one position. Well, to play Phrygian good, you got to be able to know all the patterns and where it sounds really cool to do. All right. And the fact that sometimes in Phrygian, little bonus things like the major third, it has a minor third, but make it a major third. Then you get that Yngwie Malmsteen, that Middle Eastern sound, that Spanish sound. Okay, you hear how that sounds? That's Phrygian with a major third added. So just because you understand it and can play the scale, we got to take it beyond that and try to use it, make up stuff that uses it so you really, really understand it. Okay. So, yeah, Manny, I'm glad you're taking notes. Okay. So with the mirror image thing, you can take any idea, and if you mirror it 7 frets or 5 frets up, usually it's going to sound pretty decent. See, that's just taking a weird thing like this. See, I remember I heard some guitarists a long time ago in the 70s did that. Just kind of going diagonal, 3 notes down the string diagonal. They're all flat 5s. Oh, you like that Phrygian, huh, Manny? All right, cool. So I thought instead of just doing it like this, how about do the, like jump it around. So it goes dun, 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 go to the octave, then do that repeating. I thought that sounded a little more interesting. And then just tap that. Or that was 5 frets up, or a perfect 4th up, a perfect 5th up. It's kind of weird stuff today, huh? You know, some of this doesn't sound too musical, but if you're into like crazy sounds, weird stuff, progressive, sort of jazzy, sort of like prog rock, right? Like Fish, right? You know, who else would be a good band that plays kind of weird stuff like this? Maybe Frank Zappa. All right. It's fun to explore odd little intervals. Let me wrap my head around this for a sec. I'll show you something. You know what? Hang on one sec here. I'm going to not go anywhere. I'm going to open up something on my file here. You just inspired me to do this 12-tone row. There we go. Yeah, this is a little lick I came up with. Have you ever heard the 12-tone row system? A lot of modern classical music, contemporary classical, likes to go, it's not as pretty sounding as Mozart and Beethoven and Bach, but it's still classical nevertheless. But they like to expand the boundaries. And one of the things I've seen used in that, and also sounds something we could experiment too as rock guitar players, progressive rock, is the 12-tone row. That's where you're taking all 12 notes in music and you're trying to make up an idea with all 12, but you can't repeat any of the notes until you've done all 12 notes, right? So basically we're going to use E, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, and then we can repeat. So I'm just going to do it all in one position. I came up with this weird little thing that sounds kind of interesting. It's using flat 5 intervals, but doing it going up a couple and down a couple. See, check this out. Then down. So we go up a flat 5, then up another flat 5 from a different set of notes, then down, and then the next one also, and then down a flat 5 there, down there, and then up at the end. So just kind of make it really jagged sounding, but every 2 notes is a flat 5 interval. Okay, it's one of the ugliest intervals you can have, and it's also has sort of a diminished sound because the diminished scale and diminished chord has a lot of flat 5s and minor 3rds in it. Okay. Now that's all 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now I can repeat it. Sounds like computer music. It's kind of interesting. Those are just food for thought. Now, what if you were to take something like that, wacky as that sounds, and then try to tap that out up higher? All right, just taking ideas. So there we go. Just crazy, weird stuff. Not necessarily the most musical or melodic, shall we say, but it's still music, right? We're still using rules. We're applying rules to it. That's, your fundamental way of making chords out of the major scale, the diatonic chords, all right? you set up rules. When we got the major scale, to build the chords out of it, you take every other note of the scale up to 3 for your triads. That's a great way to start. And we're just using the first, third, and fifth note from that scale. Then we start on the second note of the scale and then do the second to the fourth to the sixth note, or in other words, the root third and fifth of that second note or second chord. Then we do the same with the third note, fourth note. So we're applying rules to the music and we come up with ideas. So you go beyond that, like with the 12-tone row, instead of having 7 notes in a major scale, you do 12 notes in the chromatic scale. And then you just apply rules to it and see what you come up with. Okay. So anyway, folks, I know I got a little off track with the tapping, from the tapping, talking about this other stuff. But next week, we're going to wrap up our Wednesday nights. I'll be sad to miss everybody for a while, but Guitar Tricks might reinstate this in the future sometime, not sure. But we're still going strong at Guitar Tricks and rocking and rolling. And you can always reach me for one-on-one lessons if you want. And you can find me at social media. I got a Facebook page, or you can comment on my videos that are on my YouTube channel if you like. Or you can write me in the forum if you're a Guitar Tricks member, if you have questions. So I'll see everyone next Wednesday night, same bad time, same bad channel. We're going to do the bonus tapping lessons. And I promise you, it won't be as hard as using all 4 fingers. We're only going to use 1 finger to tap, but it's be some cool stuff. And of course, I like to throw in the theory. So we're going to do some of that next week, tied in with the tapping as well. So Steve, appreciate it. Richard, thank you. John, the interval lessons are on Guitar Tricks, but a lesson focused on that would be great. Yeah, John, check out intervals on Guitar Tricks. Search that in the search bar in Guitar Tricks, and you can find a bunch of them. I know Christopher Schlegel does a lot of that. I can teach you that in one-on-one lessons as well. So there you go. King 50, not sure if I'll remember any of this tomorrow. All right. Cool. But King 50 says, but love listening to you get off on the theory. Thanks, Dave. Have a good week. Yep, no problem. Thank you, Bill. King 50. Manny Vibes, have a good week. We'll see you next Wednesday. John, you're welcome. Jerry, Manny, cool. Craig, Manny. All right, cool. All right, everyone, be good. Keep those fingers flying. Keep practicing, all right? Keep at it. We'll see you next week. All right, bye.